man, we're here already. And when I started to set up this prep, lost a few pounds so that I can be in a better position to start dieting. It was hard because from basically Valentine's Day week until Mother's Day weekend, I was gonna hold this shape, kind of be on standby, and then ready to pounce when it made the most sense from a dieting standpoint. And here we are now. So it happened very quick, and I even had a dream about this last night. A lot of it is I wouldn't say doubt, but you kind of know what you're getting into when you commit to one of these things. And it's rough, man. It's hard. Like, it's hard. It's really hard. I think harder than I lead it on to be sometimes. But I'm excited to the point where I actually had a dream about my contest prep last night, and woke up with a little bit of that anxiety still attached, right? I can't even tell you what I was dreaming about, but I know it was about the prep. So yeah, so here we are. And one thing I keep reminding myself is the fact that you don't go from 0 to 100 overnight. Eventually the way of life that is contest prep kind of just becomes this all-encompassing thing. However, there is a point of diminishing returns when it comes to focus. And to be quite honest, I feel a lot of those negative symptoms that we talk about when we talk about contest prep, I feel a lot of them have to do with the sort of environment that you create in your own head. So while it's good to be focused, it's good to be like a little bit more centralized around this goal. There is a point of diminishing returns, and that is something that every year I try to get a little bit better at. Because tell you what, man, those guys that be rolling around from like day one of the contest prep all the way to the end with like their tight little buttholes like the whole time, like that, those are the folks who think not just the hardest time getting into shape, but maintaining muscle mass and maintaining their health. So that'll be a priority. So yeah, I'm only going to turn up the volume dials on the intensity and the relentlessness as much as I need to, and when it's appropriate. I think this will get me the best results. Another, I guess, promise that I have to myself is I don't want to make this something that is all-encompassing to the point where it does impact those around me, because it's already going to impact those who are closest around you. So shoot, I think we had my girlfriend and I, like, we're like, hey, a Euro trip would be pretty nice, go pick 2-3 countries and just eat all the good food, throw on the backpack and just explore. Like, that's out of the question. So there's already enough sacrifices going on there. And last night she actually asked me, my girlfriend Cynthia, like, is there anything I can do to make your prep easier? Like, what can I do? And I'm like, oh, yo, like, I don't want it to be that way. So yeah, again, above anything else, contest prep is yes, you want to win, you want to bring the best physique like possible to that stage, but it's no different than like what we expect the kids to get out of youth athletics. Like, a big part of it isn't just because we think little Billy here is going to be the next LeBron James. We don't put that on them, right? It's more about the personal development that comes with them, seeing how you respond in this sport. And sports can be like a microcosm of like the real world. Once it gets a little gritty, like, that's what we do, why we do it. So yeah, above anything else, I want to explore and learn about myself further, and I won't get everything right. There'll be a batch of things that, like always, this will highlight about myself that I need to work on. in order to not just be a better bodybuilder, but just excel across all other aspects of life. And I'm very excited for that. And I'm glad that you guys will be joining me throughout these adventures. It's over, man. It is over. Prep starts officially tomorrow. I'm like 99.9% certain of that. And just like that, it all happened so quick, right? So, yeah, that's it, man. That's it. That's all I got for you guys. Prep. Everything from this point onwards is going to be the start of prep. So it's been a good off season, and yeah, I can't wait to do that crazy thing all over again. But first, we need to enjoy the food while it's there, or at least in the amounts that I'd like it to be there. Let's go. So it's 4 eggs, 2 English muffins, and a bowl of cherries, a bag of cherries. So the whole meal, 20 grams of fat, 50 carbs, 115 carb. All right, that's how we kick it off. Let's grub, folks. Of course, we subtract the dog tax. Here, your dog tax. Take it. So whatever my macros are, they gotta subtract like 2% because of these guys. Here we go. All right, so macros are going to be 60 to 70 fat, about 350 to 400 carb, 190 to 210 protein, and refeeds probably entail an extra 200 grams of carbs. I'll start using those when I need them, which I think will be sooner rather than later. Those will run for 2 consecutive days, basically. When they do happen, and they'll happen somewhere between every 5 to 10 days. Cardio, 5,000 steps, and then 3 20-minute pedaling sessions for the old ticker over here. But yeah, most importantly, I think the first 10 pounds or so, I'm going to try to be about as ambitious as I usually am in the off season. So I'm going to try to better some of my marks. And I think I'll be able to do that because of anything. Sometimes when I am well fed, I don't necessarily always think about like how this impacts next week or create the best of runways, because I feel good. I feel amazing. I feel invincible. Won't in a few weeks here. So that RDL right there, I am definitely going to try to like surpass that. Things like presses, not as much. And that's one of the reasons that I straight up went for some YOLO numbers, because I'm like, man, I don't think there's a good chance that these will eventually trend downwards. It won't be overnight. It'll be slowly. But I wanted to see where I topped out at. I really thought these could be like my best 6 rep performances. They ended up being 5 reps. So just short of what is the lower end of my rep range on these movements. But I had to. I'm like, okay, just want to see where I'm at. And hey, this is the last time I'll feel, I guess, not that I'm going to feel awful overnight, but yeah, I guess I wanted to see where that limit was, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe the first few pounds here, I actually see some increases even on the presses, because I'll just be a little bit more responsible when it comes to like not biting off more than I can chew. On this delt press, actually, I took the responsible route simply because I was a little worn out from the incline, the 120s that I hit for a measly 5. So I lowered down the angle by like 1 notch. This feels so much more comfortable. Should have done this a long time ago, because this is where it sits really well with me, like in relation to keeping this thing aligned with gravity, the anterior delt, and also the kickback's just a little bit easier, which is going to come in handy as I get smaller, and ideally the dumbbells stay about the same size. This movement right here has probably been of late my favorite like lat movement, and that's just a lat dominant row. Um, it's especially since so I got the prime handles because I touched them before they spoiled me, but I didn't always have access to them, so I got myself a pair, got myself a whole collection of just prime equipment, um, mostly handles, and like 6 weeks later, my gym ended up getting the whole collection. But hey, it's kind of nice to have my own, so whenever they are in use, I don't have to wait for them, right? Because we have to wait for cables and machines, like enough as it is. Waiting for that plus handles, yeah. But yeah, man, this one's felt money, and I've especially been digging the partial reps that I get here on my last set. And what I do for those, I do load up the weight, because you have to remember, when you are pulling, when you are rowing, the strongest portion of the movement is going to be when you're further away. And usually when we pick our loads, right, it's we're limited by like what we can bring all the way into the shortest position, right? So yeah, I think this is one of the reasons that a lot of folks will tell you that, cheaty rows work for me, right? Like I started to, do some cheatier motions, whether it's dumbbells or a bent over row, and it worked, right? So I think what happened there is like, okay, it's definitely a load that's too heavy for you to do in a strict manner to bring it all the way in, but it overloads the lengthen portion, despite the fact that there might be some body English there. So yeah, this is just, I think, a more refined way of doing it. This right here, these press arounds, this one's more like for the clavicular head. I think these will also be money as I get lighter. Again, the pressing, right? The pressing is depressing. It can be. And so this right here is going to definitely help me just get all the stimulation that I do need in my chest. Because I will say this, man, if there's one area that I kind of overlooked, because it's, at the end, pecs don't necessarily win shows. Everyone has eye pecs for the most part, even when they're kind of weak. So I definitely kind of overlooked that area. So so I want to hang on to everything that I do have. It's usually done a good job hanging around, but nevertheless, I think this, along with my presses, at this point, I'm doing 3 sets of press arounds a week and 2 sets of presses. That's the ratio I'm gonna go with. I know I was kind of debating that last week, but I like that. This was my YOLO set with the 125s. So another set of 5. I really thought I could get 6. But again, at this body weight with this good solid technique, not necessarily mad at it, but yeah, I wish I could have gone that 6 on both of those. So I took a few, just like, hey, let's just go for it sets. I even deadlifted a little bit because right. Well, I can recover from just having a little fun, and from this point on, it's going to be strictly business. So this is the same press around, but again, more for the big sternal head. If you want to learn more about these movements, this is where it's worth looking up my buddy Kasim Hansen and his whole N1 crew, as they are the ones that I guess really made this popular and have really refined the technique. So you guys would be better off learning from them than from me. Big shout outs again to that whole crew, because they definitely helped me get some things in order with this last leg of the off season. But most importantly, outside of the last leg of the off season, I think where they've really come clutch for me is like from a longevity standpoint. I know a lot of this optimization from a biomechanics standpoint. I almost feel like it's when we were introducing macros in a more flexible type of dieting format, like a lot of folks were kind of like, bro, just eat clean, the foods at work, right? Like that sort of view. Not quite to that extent, but it does get a similar amount of pushback. There's nothing wrong with thinking. There's nothing wrong with being a layer or two more analytical than one needs to be in order to find success. Because I'll tell you what, like I build the majority of my physique definitely, I guess, doing the good old fashioned like bread and butter stuff. Um, but I don't know that is, if I could have sustained that for another 10 years. Um, and to me, that is the bottleneck when it comes to most like natural bodybuilders. These are partials for the upper back. So kind of the same thing that was going on with the lat rows. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with, like, if you have an opportunity to make something just a little bit better, like, why not? Because these little 1% definitely add up. They definitely add up. And again, like, you're talking to a guy who I absolutely, I love the barbell. I love the influence that powerlifting has had on physique sports, on especially the natural side of things. I will probably do a powerlifting meet again at some point, but yeah, when it comes to just taking care of this investment, I think it's been worth it. Like looking a layer deeper this off season. So yeah, this is I think especially going to come in handy. A lot of these new movements, a lot of these new strategies, as I diet down and again, like, it's going to be less risky, and I think also more efficient from a stimulus to fatigue sort of deal. But most importantly, some of these movements, once you nail them, they feel so damn ergonomic. You know how it goes, man. The movements where you feel like it's you against the load and not you against the load against your body, those are the ones that tend to do better over the course of the contest prep. And I'm just trying to fill up my whole scheme with as many of those movements as possible. Quad dominant leg press right here. Man, it's been a good solid final leg this off season. I can definitely say that in regards to my lifting, in regards to performance, like, I'm peaked out. Like, this is the best I've seen across the board. And a lot of that has to do, again, with the fact that I am healthy. If I stay healthy, both like structurally from my lifting, and then, take care of myself hormonally, as I described in the opening act of this video, like letting it come to me, keeping it cool as long as I can, don't dig, but don't dig too hard, I think we'll be in a good place. So anyhow, this is the last hurrah of my off season. This is my single leg hamstring curl. Love the ham tractor. This machine is gorgeous. With some partials to end it. This is the last leg of my off season, guys. So a little bit more training focus, I think, than it will be from this point on. But from this point on, I'll definitely, when I have a thought, something comes up in my head, something worth sharing, the mind games, how I'm feeling, the fatigue. I want to be transparent, man, because again, it's for you guys, but it's also for me. I want to be able to look back at some point and just really remember all the good times, all the stuff that happens outside of like the stage. Because to me, that's when I look at my highlight film as a bodybuilder, a lot of that shit took place in private, in my own head, alone, random Tuesday, stuff like that. So a lot more of that to come. Doing this for myself, for you guys, for the sport, and a physique update, full-on physique update next week. So please stay tuned. Let's do this, guys.